Hey friends, it's Simon Hurley and welcome to a brand new video. Now today I am diving into a brand new Gina Designs release which I'm super excited about, and I wanted to show you guys fun new ways to use your stamps. So there's a couple different ways to use this set that I received, and I wanted to share kind of the way that it might have been designed and then also a little bit of ways to think outside of the box and use your stamps in several different ways. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so here is the stamp set. It's called New Beginnings by Lisa Hetrick, and I just love this big butterfly down here. This is what we're going to be using to begin with. So I wanted to kind of share how this one is going to work, or how it was designed, and then let's step outside of the box and create a couple of different versions of the card. So I'm going to use some jet black Archival ink to stamp this solid outline stamp down. And then we can stamp it right down onto our stark white cardstock here. Give it some good pressure. And then when I lift this off, I'm going to also heat emboss it with a little bit of clear embossing powder. And what I love about jet black Archival is that it takes just a little bit longer to dry, and the embossing powder is going to stick to it. Alright, then we have these two solid versions of the wings, and I just grabbed my acrylic blocks. This is my acrylic block pack, and I love this smaller one for little images like this. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of sidewalk chalk, and we're just going to do some solid stamping right inside of these using one of my favorite color combinations. We'll go in with a little bit of purple, triple berry then. Kind of roll that onto the stamp to kind of blend it together. Then I'll go in with a little bit of Crown Me, which is a darker purple, a little bit more cool toned. And then last but not least, we'll go in with Midnight Snack to finish it off and just roll that right onto the inside edge. Then I'm just going to mist that about 2 different times, and we'll bring it onto our image here, line it up with everything, that butterfly wing, and then we can stamp it down right onto our stark white cardstock. And there we have a beautiful kind of ombre wing, which I really love that color combination. I think adding all these different colors really helps to make kind of a solid image a little bit more interesting. So once I've added those down again, I'll mist it down a little bit to help it blend as it stamps, and then we can line it up on the other side. So it gives you 2 of these wings, so you can stamp in both of them onto either side. Alright, there's no images for this bottom half, but I thought it would be really easy to color in with some inks. So I'll go in with my detail ink blending tools. I love these for getting into small little areas with my ink. And I'll start off with a little bit of Over the Moon. I like this kind of warm, light yellow color. And I just want to kind of blend this outward to fill in a lot of that space. And the cool part about these is even if you get into like a super tiny area, you can always turn it on its side to color that in. But this just makes it super quick, and if you're really good with inks and you're not too great with a lot of other coloring mediums, or you're scared of watercolor, this might be your new favorite way to color things in. And then once I've got that all colored in, I'll go in with a little bit of Slippery When Wet, which is just a little bit darker, and then we can bring that in kind of towards the inside to add a little bit of depth, dimension, and shading to this. And I just think that goes along beautifully with the purples and blues that we have up there. Now I wanted to add a little something special to this, so I'm gonna go in with a little bit of this Slippery When Wet Lunar paste and go in with my mini detail blending tools again. And this is gonna work really well to just take this and add a little bit of Lunar paste and shine right to the inside of that wing. And again, it's really great at getting into all those small little areas. So I'm going to just take this and kind of lightly fade that out into my color, and we'll get that really beautiful amount of shine from that wing then. Wendy Vecchi also has this really fun little stylus tip on it as well. So I can just dip that right into the Lunar paste, and if I want to add a little bit of yellow sparkle up here too, I totally can, and add it to the top of the purple side of the wings. So this is another really fun way to get into those small little details. I love the amount of shine that that Lunar paste added to the butterfly, and then once it's dry, it's not going to come off on your recipient's hand, which is my favorite part about it. Alright, for the card base, I'm going to use a prickly pear cardstock and score that to make a top folding card. For the background, I'm going to use my Swirly Fern background stamp and ink it up with a little bit of Psych ink. I want this to be kind of a fun tone-on-tone background, and so this is going to really create that. And I want to stamp down my card kind of towards the center, because you'll see that's where a lot of the branches come to meet. So I want it to be nice and centered onto there. And then, to give a little bit of pressure, I've been using the Debbie stamping tool. I know there's a lot of these kind of stamping tools on the market, and they're meant to kind of press down the door of a MISTI, but I've also been loving them to press down my background stamps and make sure that I get the whole thing pressed without moving it. So that gives me lots of help. All right, for the sentiment, I'm going to use this sentiment from the same stamp set, and it says, trust. I'll stamp it down, and this one says, in the magic of new beginnings. Make sure I get it really lined up with these grid lines on here, and then press down. And then, again, same thing with the jet black archival ink. I want everything to match, so I'm gonna throw over a layer of clear embossing powder and heat set this. All right, so I adhered everything together onto the card base, and I absolutely love how this card turned out. That really fun background and the beautiful butterfly with all of that shimmer on it just is so stunning. All right, so now let's share a way you might not have thought to use this stamp set, but I think is so much fun. So I'm gonna go in with my stark white cardstock and these two solid areas from the butterfly, but I'm not going to use the actual butterfly image, and we'll stamp with just these. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of slippery and wet for this wing, and then I'll ink it up with a little bit of Prom Queen in the center. Ink that up. And if you want to, since they're kind of harsh colors together, you can always go in and blend them together with just one of these blending foams to kind of soften that middle edge there. I'll spray that down just a little bit, and then we can go in and stamp down our wing. So I'm going to just kind of stamp it at an angle that I want the butterfly to be flying. Then I'm going to repeat the same step with the exact same side of the wing. So we'll go in with a little bit of slippery and wet, and then a little bit of Prom Queen. Again, we can go in to kind of soften that edge a bit. Now this is the same edge of the wing, and I'm just going to tilt it a little bit so that it kind of fits into that little section right there. Once that's done, we can stamp it down, and that creates one whole side of the butterfly. Now if you guys see the other side, we'll go in and follow the exact same steps on the opposite wing with a little bit of slippery and wet, and then some Prom Queen, and then here I'm going to stamp it down with the opposing side. So we'll just press that down, give it some good pressure, and there we're starting the other side. Now I wanted a center for this butterfly still, so I went into this stamp set from Gina K. It's called Mandala Maker. This one's actually by Rena, which I love, and there's different centers. There's a lot of different shapes that I thought would work perfectly for the butterflies. So if you have this set, this is phenomenal to stamp the center of these. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of jet black archival ink, and again I'm using that small acrylic block from my set. These come in handy when you gotta stamp smaller little images. And then we can go in, stamp that center right down, and then I'll go in and stamp this little shape as the antenna for the little butterfly. I thought that was so cute to use that Mandala Maker set to create a more elegant looking butterfly with that center. I'm gonna again keep this one super simple using the prom dress background stamp from Hurley Create, and then going in with a little bit of my Clear Skies ink to just do another simple tone on tone background. Sometimes those are the best when you want your focal point to really stand out, but you want just something in the background, and then use that Debbie stamping tool to really make sure that we've got lots of pressure on our background without it moving around with our fingers. And once that's done, we've got a beautiful background stamped. For the sentiment, I'm going to use the Simple Sayings stamp set. I just love this awesome font that you have in here, and then all these different things you can use to customize it. And again, I've added these down to my acrylic blocks. We'll stamp down Thinking, and then I'm going to stamp down Of You separately. And I just separate those just so that there's this little photopolymer edge, and if you have them together, you can't get them as close. But without them together, I can line it up super close and stamp it right underneath each other. All right, so here is that second card once it's all finished and everything is adhered down. I just love that fun scripty sentiment and how we were able to use that same exact stamp set without the lined image and create another really beautiful butterfly with a whole different look. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's video, and hopefully it opens up your eyes to look at every different stamp set you have and be like, how can I use this and test it? Because sometimes you can find something really awesome, and sometimes it might not be so awesome, but you can always throw those away, but it's always worth a try to test out new things and come up with different ideas. If you guys enjoyed it, please give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below which card I created was your favorite from today's video, and be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you never miss another card making and crafting video like this one from me. Alright guys, I'll see you very, very soon, and have a wonderful day. Bye!